Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I am going to basically give you the general steps for an overall reading. This comes from a question someone asked me, and I guess they just felt overwhelmed because there was so many things to consider, and so kind of how to do this step by step. Now I'm not going to go into any great detail about each step because I have videos that cover it. So the very first thing you need is a dimensioned or at least a 2-scale floor plan. Now this is either has to be printed or scanned. Scanning does distort a little, but probably not enough to make a difference. A photo will always really distort it. Even if you try to take it, straight down from the center, you still have distortion. So don't take a photo and think it can be done. You really need either a real, you really want a real floor plan. You don't want to have something, a photo of it. It doesn't work. Now, if you don't have this, you can actually hire someone to do this for you. They oftentimes you can get it done fairly cheaply. And if you have a local community college or even college that has a interior design or architecture, you probably can hire a student to do it and just ask, ask at the main desk, for the teachers that teach this kind of thing. They will tell you, maybe give you a name of students, or you can just put just let the teacher know you're looking for somebody. Now, the next thing you need to do is find the facing direction with respect to true north. And I have a recent video where I've reiterated why true north is so important, and also some other details that will help you find the direction of things from the center of your house, even if you can't see that exterior thing, like a mountain or water, of course. Now, you also need to know the period of your residences, your residence. Now, houses and apartments are treated differently, and I have 2 videos. I have a separate video all just about apartments and how to find all this. Houses are more of the standard stuff that you see. Now, with these 2 things, your floor plan and your actual facing direction, you can then overlay that 24 mountain chart, over your house, the house plan, and you can determine the location of your main door, or for an apartment, it'll be your balcony door. And this is a very key piece of information. This piece of information here is all you need to find your flying star chart. And you can get that, just Google flying star chart, you'll find it. Now, with the door location, this is what you need to determine your Chi-Men chart and your purple-white chart. Now, I have instructions of how to create your purple-white chart from scratch if you want to. I also, of course, sell that. The Chi-Men chart is much harder. It is a portion of the hour charts, but it's very complicated. There is a book by Joey Yap that's over $100 that will tell you all the charts. And there is a small typo in one particular group of charts. It will say door facing, it means door location. I checked with the Joey Yap group just so that you know that. So it is definitely door location. Now, of course, I do sell that too. And my coffee store is a lot cheaper than buying Joey Yap's book. Now, I say it's a reasonable price considering all the work I put into it. I do give you one thing in my chart that Joey Yap does not do. I give you the hexagram that's there. So this gives you an extra piece of information that you can use to analyze. And the hexagram can be good or bad, just like everything else in the Chi-Men chart. So, and of course, the stars can be good or bad unless you're lucky enough to have special formations. Now, the next thing you need to do is note your local landforms. Anything you can see, like you could see a mountain or a hill, yeah, it should be visible from at least some point in your house. Even if you have to turn your head, it doesn't have to be straight on, like through a window or a door. As long as you can see it from some place in your house, it affects you. You will also have to look at higher ground. Now, higher ground, we're talking about very locally, and you usually cannot see this with your eye unless you're in a very hilly location. And you could theoretically not have higher ground if you're at the top of a hill and you're the highest hill as far as you can see. Then you wouldn't have higher ground, but that is a rarity. So to get this, you often have to look at a topographic map, a local topographic map. If you don't have that, you can actually see how water flows around and near your property. That will also tell you this when you have a good sized rainstorm, something where there's actually water traveling across the surface of the earth. Now, you also want to look at visible, clean lakes or ponds. Swimming pools count for this. This can be man-made. The lakes are, well, they're pretty big, but a lake or a pond, you can have that man-made just like a swimming pool. The mountains and hills and the higher ground come from nature. They have to come from nature. You could put a big rock in a certain area on your lot. It doesn't act as a mountain, at least not until it's been there like 100 years. And then it's going to act as a tiny mountain because you're not going to put something bigger than your house. It would be too freaky. It's more like the size of a person. That's a kind of stone you might put somewhere. Now, you have to measure the directions these items are from the center of your residence. Now, the recent video about why I use True North will help you to do this, whether or not you can see it from the center of your residence. So that is but this is really, really important because this will tell you what gets activated. Then you also need to identify any sha qi, external or internal, and determine its direction again from the center of your residence. And this is important if especially if this happens to fall in the location of an important area of your house. And it's just generally good to mitigate this because it is, you might actually want to use a certain sector because of the annual month stars happen to be really good. But if that place has sha qi and you're doing something new, you have a tendency to activate that. So in general, mitigating sha qi all the time is a great idea. It gives you more versatility in your house. Then you need to determine whether or not you have any activated special formations in your flying star chart or one of the special formations in your purple white chart. The purple white chart has two possible ones. Now the purple white chart does change every year, but if you have it for 1 year, any special formation, it always stays. That's just the way it works. There are 6 types of of special formations in your flying star chart, but the activation usually relies on landforms. There is one special formation that makes all stars timely for all periods that does not require landforms to be in a specific location. It doesn't hurt to have them. In fact, that makes it stronger, but they're not needed to activate it. Every other one needs the mountains. Every other one needs the mountains to be in a certain location, and then 4 of them also need water in a certain location. So this is why it can be quite tricky, but this is doable. Then you also, of course, have to determine the quad numbers and the good, useful, and bad directions for each family member. And this I think it's called your best directions video that you can watch to determine this. And so this one is not hard. Now here is where it gets hard. Here's where you have to start analyzing these charts. Now, you will have a bunch of different, you'll have your purple white chart, you'll have your flying star chart, and you'll have your achievement chart. And one thing you want to do is you know that your landforms, you're going to have at least higher ground, unless you're in that very unusual situation that you're at the top of a hill. But those landforms, that landform, if it's a higher ground at least, will activate the sitting star in that sector where the higher ground is located, again measured from the center of your house. So you always have something that's activated unless you're very unusual. Now, but most places you can see hills. It's sometimes a little hard to see, but if you really pay attention, you'll see them. And actually, if you're riding a bike or walking, you will feel them more than you ever would in a car. You probably don't notice them in a car. But this is something that you need to do. Anything that has to do with mountain, hill, higher ground, that activates the sitting star. Water activates the facing star. So this will tell you what is in your flying star chart that's being activated by your external landforms. Now, if you do not have an activated special formation in your flying star chart or your purple white chart, then you need to determine what you may need to place, that is an elemental cure, to mitigate the untimely stars that could be there. Again, only important rooms need mitigation. And when I talk about errors, I'm mostly talking about your main door. You then need to determine the location of the positive entities. I mean, there's positive doors, positive stars, and positive spirits in the Chiman chart, but you also have the death door. So you need to know where that is. It's not good to have your death door like at your main door or in the location of your kitchen or the bedroom of the owners or your home office, of course. Now, the death door is useful, but only for certain things and really just for breaking bad habits. Otherwise, the death door is problematic because you can break good habits also. Now, for the important rooms, see if they receive chi from your main door, or if it's an apartment, it'll be your balcony door. And if the chi flow goes from so the way you do that is the chi flow goes from the main door to the door of that room, and then from the door of that room to the important item in that room. This is called chi flow, and I of course have a video about that. And I do have a video that talks about the positive entities, of course, and the negative ones in the Chiman chart. So the videos are all there. You just have to find them. Now, if there is Sha Qi, you need to determine when to mitigate it. And actually, in my membership, I actually do this monthly, and I tell you down to the hour. But I also have told you how to do this if you want to do it on your own. There is a video about it. It's not terribly easy, but it's also not impossible. And you have to be able to program. But I just use Excel, nothing more than that. So it's doable. It's a pain in the butt, but it's doable. And really, you only have to focus on areas where you have Shachi. I do all of them in my Excel file. It has every direction, of course. And so this is, but this you can do on your own, and you don't need to be a member if you go to all that trouble, and that's fine. At least you have to pick the right day in a certain month, and that is easier to do than getting down to the hour. Now, I don't know any place else you can get down to the hour for free. In fact, I don't know any place you can actually find that information about mitigating Shachi, even down to the day, that's free. So this is something that's quite useful. But like I said, if you listen to the video, you will know how to do it. Hopefully, anyway. Now, all this gives you the basics for your residence. I can almost guarantee you that even the important places or rooms or locations in your house may not have everything positive. Usually it's a mix. And so you have to basically balance it all. And this is where the hard part comes in. This is where people, they freak out. They got one negative thing and they think they can't use that sector. You have to balance everything. And you have to know, as long as it's a proportion, most of it is good, it's a good sector. Unless there's the Chiman death door, then it's not. Now, the annual and monthly stars have some effect, and they also interact with your flying star chart. Now, the annual, it's legitimately called the annual flying stars and the monthly flying stars. I specify natal by meaning that's the one that is born when your house is born. It doesn't change unless you do something to change the period of your house, or add, or do something to change your house. So that is permanent. Your purple-white chart does change every year, and actually one of the stars in the purple-white chart is actually the annual star. So, but the other stars can interact with these two. So that is something to note. Now, usually the flying star chart and the purple-white chart they tend to win, except for perhaps with star 5, because 5 is such a negative one, at least right now. A couple periods, when we enter period 3, it won't be such a bad star. Now, most of the time, you can use any good rooms or locations, even if the annual or monthly stars are negative, provided you don't activate the space. And you would do activation by moving large furniture. Moving your chair doesn't count. Moving a bed does, because a bed is big. Now, if you nail something into the wall, that will activate it. If you do renovations, that activates it. You probably could paint. Well, you can't really paint the room because you have to move the furniture. So you can't paint a room. That would activate it, but not because of painting. It's because of moving the furniture. So this is just something you need to be aware of. Now, annual afflictions, other than the 5 yellow, which is really where the annual star 5 is, they don't interact with your other charts, but they have the same restrictions on activation. You don't want to activate those areas either, because then you can have negative things happen. Now, you need to use, if for some reason you have to do something in one of these rooms, well, if it's an emergency, you simply do it, like a broken water line, and then you mitigate. And of course, I talk about mitigation in other videos. But if you want to renovate a location that has an annual affliction, it can be done if you use the sun and moon arrival dates. And this will allow you to do this safely. Now, my coffee store has something priced under $2 that you can do this. You just, and you can update the dates even after I close my business, because there's publicly available stuff from the Hong Kong Observatory that will tell you the actual dates. You can do this forever, and it's good for any house you happen to live in or apartment. It's all good. So this, I am going to stop doing this on a monthly basis because it takes up a fair amount of my time, and I already am busy enough. So, but this is under $2. You can do this for yourself, and it's easy. Remember, there is no such thing as perfect feng shui. I've said this several times. There can be very good feng shui, but it's never perfect, because you'll always have the death door somewhere. Of course, if that happens to be a missing sector of your house, that's not necessarily so bad. Then you could have really good feng shui. Now, you need to evaluate each sector of your house for the quality of its properties, and also with respect to good and useful directions based on the occupants living there. So sometime you might have to move a bed in a certain direction or something like this so that it works. This can sometimes be a little tricky, but it can be done. Now, in large part, how you evaluate your house, how you're evaluating each one of these sectors, depends on your goals. If you want better outside opportunities, you focus on the flying star chart because this will tell you where the good opportunities come. And if you do not have a special formation that's activated, you would be looking for probably star 1, star 4, star 6, and in period 9, star 9. Most of the period you'd be looking for star 8, but this period we look for star 9. Now, this is what you do if you don't have a special formation. If you do have a special formation, then you start looking at the other charts. You're guaranteed for things to be good. And here, even star 2, which most people freak out about, even star 5, it is okay to work there if you have an activated special formation. Of course, you have to be sure it's activated. Now, if you want more happiness in your life, you're okay with your career, then you focus on the purple-white chart. And then you want to put you want to have your best sectors be, for example, maybe your living room where the whole family gathers, or maybe your dining room if you eat dinner together every night. You want to have those rooms where you have good purple-white. And it could also be your main bedroom if you're concerned about your relationship with your spouse or significant other. Now, these two charts can have special formations, and when they're activated, then you have a much easier time. The house is almost automatically good everywhere. But you still have to look at your purple or your Chiman chart. Now, if you want to feel more fulfilled with your life's work, you focus on the Chiman chart. Now, this can be work related, and if it's work related, you're going to look for either your life door or the open door or perhaps the chief. And depending on your area of work, you might also look at some of the other spirits. If it's your relationships, you look at usually the sixth harmony. But if you are in like psychology, sixth harmony is also a good one. So you do all that kind of stuff. The only one that you really beware of here would be the death door. You don't want an important room with the death door, and you don't want your main door there either. Another door is okay, as long as it's not the main door. Now, I have covered all the topics I've talked about here in separate videos. You can search for them on my channel, or you can read other people's blogs or watch their videos. You know, you can gather information any way you want to get the details. Now, if you find a place with special formations in the flying star chart and in the purple-white chart without the death door at the main door or any important room, you have found a fantastic place to live. And even if you're only renting it, it's still going to be a fantastic place to live. You will make headway there. Now, you focus on the three properties of those charts, the flying star, purple, white, and Chiman charts, at your main door, the owner's bedroom or the main breadwinner's bedroom, the home office, even if that's your dining room table, and the kitchen. And you also worry about the directions of the items, the important items in there. So you would worry about the direction of your main door. Also, the direction your headboard is, from standing at the foot towards the headboard, what direction is that? The direction of your desk, whatever functions as a desk in your home office. And in the kitchen, it's the direction of your range. And each one of these is important, but you also look at your overall facing direction of the entire, either the apartment unit or the house. The more those things that are positive, the better the house is. And that's true even if you have these special formations. So this is something that can make it even better. How likely are you to find two houses that have all this at the same time? I don't know. Probably not terribly likely. So just get what you can. Now, the purple, white, and the flying stars can be mitigated if you don't have a special formation. If you have a special formation that's activated, don't mitigate them because you're weakening a good star when you do that. Negative human properties, unfortunately, cannot be mitigated, but the death door, even that one has its uses, and that's a place to break bad habits. So, uh, but try to otherwise avoid this being in an important area of your house. If you're only renting a room within a house, you instead need to shrink all this analysis down to your room. And that makes it very tough because there is and there all you need is the dimensions of your room. You could do that without having uh, to worry about a lot of other stuff. So and and you can look at the whole house and kind of see where your particular room is. And I wouldn't be worried about it unless the death door was there. It's just not so important. But this shrinking down is it's sometimes hard to do because if you have a small room, it's going to be very hard to place things. You might want to spend more time at work or in a cafe if you're finding that that room doesn't have good properties where you normally are. That, and then maybe you could move out of the room and get into an apartment or something a bit better. So that's it. I'm hoping that this is enough to give you a really good idea of how to analyze this yourself. Now, most of the reason why people hire people to do their analysis is because it's quite complicated when you've got all these things overlapping. And you need to do a lot of work to be able to determine where everything is located, especially outside the house. So, uh, but this is doable. If you have the time, you can do it. If you don't, time is money. So you hire somebody. And it's as simple as that. But I hope this helps people who really want to do this on their own. Thanks again for watching.